Good morning. My name is Allison Dunham, and I'm a supervising prosecutor at the Sacramento County District Attorney's Office. I'm assigned to the Major Crimes Unit, and I prosecute cases of domestic violence homicide. Today, I'm honored to introduce to you three extraordinary women, Nhia Vang and her daughters, Paduacee and Pahouang. Nhia Vang is Paduacee's mother, and Paduacee and Pahouang were Paduacee's sisters. I am so incredibly proud to recognize these three women for their courage in refusing to accept a law enforcement's opinion that Paduacee died from an accident, or worse, by suicide. I also admire the love they had for Paduacee in pursuing justice, not only for her, but for her daughter Sophia, who will never know her mother the way she should have. On February 3rd of 2017, Paduacee was killed when she fled a vehicle after being kidnapped by her husband, Jerry Vang. At the time of her death, Paduacee was just 29 years old, a graduate from UC Davis, and had just begun a master's program at Sacramento State University. When law enforcement initially investigated Paduacee's death, Jerry Vang reported that they had gotten to an argument and she jumped out of the truck. When law enforcement asked Jerry Vang if he had a history of domestic violence, he lied and said no. Unfortunately, that lie was believed. Had his record been run, law enforcement would have discovered that not only did Jerry Vang have a history of domestic violence, it was prolific. Nhia Vang, Paduacee and Pahouang were unsatisfied with the investigation because they knew Paduacee loved her daughter Sophia and her family and would never have jumped from the truck unless she believed she had no choice. A Hmong community representative contacted Sacramento County District Attorney Anne-Marie Schubert and asked the District Attorney's Office to take a second look at this case. Well, to make a long story short, we certainly did. Lieutenant Kirk Campbell from the District Attorney's Office was assigned to investigate Paduacee's death. He's here today, and he, along with his homicide investigative team, found evidence that Paduacee was kidnapped and uncovered all of Jerry Vang's past domestic violence, and even found he had a new victim of domestic violence after Paduacee's death. Lieutenant Campbell worked side by side with Nhia Vang, Paduacee and Pahouang as they gathered all of Paduacee's text messages and Facebook instant messages describing the past violence she suffered at Jerry Vang's hands. This evidence was critical in securing a guilty verdict on all counts, and Jerry Vang is now serving life without the possibility of parole. Anne-Marie, I am honored to present to you Nhia Vang, Paduacee and Pahouang for this year's Outstanding Citizen Award.
Cô thọ ở trong nên chờ bố lô sẽ hỏi rong trò cụ đặc tàu ở trong thì What okay? Chân chân trâu của tuần sai cho kế tua.
I would like to thank everyone for giving the opportunity to be here and for getting justice for my daughter.
Thọ bí sư của tư xã hạt địa của trẻ nâng trâu chú trò họ á lời. Địa sĩ vì what ra kể chân chân nhớ trò họ luôn trong nọ của thiết lính thiết tàu của tuần sai cho kế tua. Trâu cho kể chân chân.
From the beginning, my family, we didn't feel like there would be any justice, but because of the city and the work that you guys have done, I felt like justice was served.
Trở giao của tuần sai, tôi là lo. Đi từ ba tàu này cho kế tua. Một trò cho kế chân chân trò của trẻ nâng là của thọ quá trong.
Even though my daughter may have passed, the district attorney's office have given her, her justice, and I would like to thank everyone here.
Cô sa hại trâu. Thì nâng họ luôn đĩa tế nào hạt tìa. Do nên linh tư, trâu chú trâu họ á, lọ cho trò chê. Thế nên họ chứ chứng, một trâu nọ chứ. Là do bà tàu này, ý giả lý là bà cũ.
I want to let everyone know that even though you may feel like there's no justice or you haven't been given the right, just tell the truth and just tell the truth and justice will serve you. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kristen Anderson, and I currently work in the homicide unit at the District Attorney's Office. Fortunately for Deputy Ladwig, who is here today, this case did not turn into a homicide. And that was due to the efforts and the behavior of our outstanding citizen that's here today, Herbert Halloway. In June 27th of 2017, Deputy Ladwig was on routine patrol. He was stationed at the light rail station on Watt and I-80. Little did he know that day would change his life forever. As he went about his normal duties that day, he encountered the defendant, Nakori Span. Nakori Span had been at the light rail for some time, and he did not have a valid ticket. He was loitering and causing problems prior to Deputy Ladwig confronting him. When Deputy Ladwig attempted to write him a citation, Nakori Span became enraged. He was yelling profanities, and he was angry. He immediately engaged the officer. He attempted to punch Deputy Ladwig, and their verbal interaction became physical quickly. Within seconds, Deputy Ladwig was fighting for his life. Nakori Span, within 30 seconds of the fight, had grabbed the deputy's weapon. He put it directly to his jaw, and he fired one time, changing Deputy Ladwig's life forever. Fortunately for Deputy Ladwig, when Nakori Span tried to shoot him a second time, he missed. Deputy Ladwig got up and ran. He ran for cover. And even in that moment, Deputy Ladwig still performed his job. In the moments when Deputy Ladwig did not know whether he would live or die, he warned patrons, told them to run for cover. And while most people did that, as we can all understand, Herbert Halloway did something special. He took a path not traveled by many of us. And I am so proud of his actions that day, as all of you should be. He was already on the light rail, seated, ready to go home to his family, his wife who's here today. He heard the gunshots, and while everyone else ran away or froze in fear, Herbert Halloway jumped off the light rail and ran to Deputy Ladwig. While everyone else ran away, Herbert Halloway ran to save a life of a man he'd never met. He took off his shirt and he put it to the deputy's face and stopped the bleeding. And we are here today because of that. Deputy Ladwig is here today, which I know his wife, who's here today, is extremely thankful for that and the actions of Herbert Halloway. And he did this in a moment when Nakori Span was still on the loose. He had not been apprehended. He was not apprehended for about 3 hours. He got into a standoff with the sheriff's department, who acted honorably that day. They took him into custody without incident after a 3-hour standoff. And it was because of their actions that day as well, and the actions of our victim advocate, Colette Brown, who could not be here today, that during the course of this trial, which we did last July during the pandemic, that the defendant was convicted of all of the charges. And justice was finally served for Deputy Ladwig. The defendant was convicted and sentenced to 32 years to life in state prison. Now, I had the honor this morning of seeing the meeting between Herbert Halloway and Deputy Ladwig, because Deputy Ladwig also is a unique and special person. He also, like Herbert Halloway, took a path less traveled by many of us. The first time I met Deputy Ladwig and his wonderful wife, unlike most people, he wasn't angry. He didn't ask how much time the defendant was going to get or what the punishment would be, and he didn't act like a victim. And if he did, we would have all understood it, but he didn't. Again, like Herbert, he took a path less traveled. The only thing he asked me about was if he could meet the citizen that saved his life. That's what he was concerned about. Unfortunately, we were going to start trials, so that couldn't happen. But the two of them got to meet this morning, and I'm so incredibly proud to bring them together. They are both wonderful, unique people. And again, without the actions of Herbert Halloway that day, Deputy Ladwig would not be standing here with his wife. And I know Deputy Ladwig would like to say a couple words too. Deputy Ladwig?
Morning. Herb, it is such an humbling experience to formally meet you. I know a lot of time has passed since we first met, but I can't explain to you how often I think of the human kindness that you displayed that day. I know I have said this before in open court, but I really do want to publicly thank you for your actions. You literally took your shirt off your back for me. Even though I seemed like I was probably pretty stressed in the moment, I was also extremely impressed by you. For one, without hesitation, you immediately recognized the difference between right and wrong. And two, you thought to yourself, I need to do something about this, and how can I help? and you jumped into action. In the literal lowest time of my life, when I was sitting there profusely bleeding from the gunshot wound and had just ran through a sea of onlookers that were more concerned with catching the incident on their phone for World Star or something like that, you really restored my faith in humanity through what you did that day. And so that, I thank you. I just want to say that I also appreciate you being such an excellent witness in this case. I know that oftentimes cases like these where law enforcement is the victim, it's hard to have good and cooperative witnesses. So I thank you for being so helpful with the district attorney and the prosecution, the successful prosecution of Nikori Span. Again, I just want to say I'm honored to be here and to experience this with you. So, thank you.
Anne Marie, at this time, I'm honored to present Herbert Halloway for this year's Outstanding Citizens Award.
Yes, I'll keep it short. With the help of my beautiful wife and my sister, came up with a little something. First and foremost, glad that we can finally meet. I honorably and humbly accept this award. It's an honor to meet you, and I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that you healed well. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it short. I did what I would hope someone would do for my family, myself, or anyone else. I just hope that in the future people will, if nothing else, just take action. Not take videos, not issue. If it's needed, yes, but other than that, just take action. If someone is in need of help, someone is in need of assistance, just help. That's all. Like I said, I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that you're healed. I'm glad that this is all over with. Like I said, I humbly accept and I appreciate and I'm honored. I thank you all.